I wish many of our young people can be as enlightened as you are in terms of spirituality.
Thank you, sir.
I cry for our generation because we are a very lost generation. We don't understand our roots. We don't understand our heritage. We have no understanding whatsoever of who we are because we have sort of like inculcated the Western culture.
Yes, exactly.
We have actually westernized ourselves to a point where our Africanity is no longer as dominant as it is supposed to be. That is also part of the things that I'm probably going to share with you in terms like in my enlightenment journey, you know. The best bamba in South Africa.
There's no other
best
way.
Of the best. The best of the best. In my house today.
Yes,
welcome,
sir.
Welcome,
Thank you
welcome,
very
welcome,
much.
welcome.
Hey,
I see you brought the ghetto spotless clean today with you.
Yes,
so they're gonna be doing what? Sweating on my sneakers and stuff. Okay.
Just the special service you ever get. You know I never disappoint.
You're the best, man. You're the best. You know you're the best.
Thank you very much.
You're the best. You know, I'm supposed to be catching a flight probably in the evening and maybe around 6 p.m. So I hope my sneakers will be dry by then.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm here to clean you up. You have to look good.
I trust you.
Before your trip.
I trust you, man. I trust you. Trust you. I'm going to Zim.
Oh, you're going to Zim?
Yeah, I'm going to Zim.
Oh, wow, lovely.
Yeah, then I'm going to spend a couple of days in Zim, then from Zim I'll be flying to Nigeria.
Oh, nice. You're going to be attending some conferences?
Yeah, there's a conference I'm attending there.
Oh, nice, lovely. Lovely. It's always a pleasure to actually have you, especially here at your house.
Well, it's always a pleasure, man. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure. Can I take the call?
Yes, sir. Okay. Okay. When I'm assisting you.
Okay, thank you.
We have to know that as a businessman, you're going to be expecting calls during the most precious time. So it's actually a pleasure to actually be here. Well, not for the first time. It's been a couple of times.
Yeah.
Well, I've been at your houses. I think three houses. Because we're in La Lucia. We went in Izinga.
La Lucia, then Izinga. Then here.
Yeah, as much as you've been away for quite some time, was worried the internet told me things that I didn't want to believe. But it's fun to get there.
One thing about the internet will always suggest things, you know. Yeah, there's people who are always out there to create content for themselves. And you know, when you're at the top, you become the topic.
Yes, sir.
When you're at the head, you become the headlines.
Exactly.
So definitely, people can talk about you if you want, you know.
And I can say that the way that you respond and you understand the internet market, I can tell that as someone may say that there's no such thing as bad publicity. Do you believe that?
You see, for me, all publicity is good publicity. Yeah, there's nothing that anyone can ever write about me. I think what I can say is I've probably developed a thick skin. Yeah, there's nothing that anyone can ever write about me on the internet that can actually move me. You know?
Nice.
So all publicity is good publicity. Either negative or positive, it will always work to my favor at the end of the day.
Exactly.
It's all about how you're able. You see, if you can control the internet.
Yes, sir.
If you can control the media, you're able to control people's minds. And if you can control people's minds, you're able to control your bank account.
Yeah, exactly. Because everything is mentally. Even the British colonies were actually deprived and actually directed into mental domination. They dominate the mind and then they feed their banks.
True.
Wait, was Zimbabwe? Yes, Zimbabwe was a British colony.
Yeah, Zimbabwe is a British colony. We were colonized by the British. Yeah.
Exactly.
We were colonized by the British.
So, having you.
I see you're burning with a lot of things you want to say.
Actually, there's a lot. There's a lot. I so wish we can even have a part 2 sometimes. But there's a lot said. So yeah, having being known as a very profound pastor, businessman.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want to call you an influencer.
No,
I think I'd be degrading you, but you are so visible on the internet,
on the social space.
The social space. So there's actually quite a lot. I don't think I've actually mentioned everything, but it's quite a lot. So who's actually Jacob Toure? They're famously known as.
I don't know that guy.
J. Israel.
I don't know that guy. I've never met him before. I would like to meet him and also ask him the same question. Who the hell are you, man?
No, so guys, I think we just need to crack.
Yeah.
I just think we need to crack that on ourselves. But just tell us more about the endeavors that you've actually taken and the journey that you've actually shared as a person, and which is still gonna go furthermore as we go on.
Okay. I'm J. Israel, born and bred in Zimbabwe. Yeah, I grew up in a very small township called Pumula South. Yeah, from another township called Luveve, then to another one called Pumula South, in a city called Bulawayo. Wabulawayo.
Yeah,
Wabulawayo. Yeah. So they I went to a primary school called Machaiskova Primary School. Machaiskova Primary School, and then I moved from Machaiskova.
Sorry. Who came up with that name?
No, you see, most of the people who come from, so the province, Bulawayo falls under a province called Matebeleland. So Matebeleland is actually Matebeleland, which is the land of the Ndebeles.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And the Ndebeles are actually descendants of Shaka.
Yes.
You see?
Shaka Zulu.
Yeah.
That man, as much as I believe, the media didn't expose some of his true characteristics.
Okay.
I believe, and I'm not to challenge that because the media is not by us, it's Western. So I'm not trying to be discriminative. We love all the Western countries and everything. I know we are friends.
So according to our history, the Ndebele people, we call Ndebele people in Zimbabwe, in Bulawayo.
Yes.
So Bulawayo is dominated mainly by the Ndebeles. And the Ndebeles sort of like have almost the same culture as the Zulus. So Ndebele is a language that almost sounds like Zulu.
Yes, sir.
So it's very easy for a Ndebele speaking guy to come into South Africa and start speaking Zulu.
Yes.
You see? So whenever we joke about the Ndebeles in Zimbabwe, we always say the only thing that the Ndebeles want to do is to go to South Africa, buy an okapi, an okapi knife.
Yes.
Buy an okapi knife, buy an all-star, and buy a spot. You know the spot, the hat that.
Yes, exactly.
The spot.
The sport, yes.
Yeah.
So how was it for you? And how did the background and environment of your upbringing contribute to the person that you are right now?
I come from very humble beginnings. Come from a very humble background. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth.
Yes.
I learned life the hard way. So, but I thank God for everything that I went through, because I believe it molded me to become the man that I am today.
Yes, sir.
I'm not a student of any philosophy school, but I'm a student of life.
Yes, sir.
I attended what is called Life University.
Yes.
Yeah. So everything about me is, you see, I've made so many mistakes in my life. And it is out of those mistakes that I became the man I am today. All my mistakes, molded me to become the man that I have become today. I don't take anybody for granted. I don't look down on anybody because I believe that no one has ever fallen from the ground. No matter how high you go, you must always stay on the ground. That's my principle. Humility is the key to everything.
Yes. And I can tell that I can second that because I can support that because you've actually shown me humility that I've never experienced from the caliber of the person that you are, and that's something that I believe that other people that follow you also learn from.
You see, I've been described by different people as arrogant. Probably, maybe it's because of how the internet and how social media tends to put a label, on a person. But I'm a very easygoing person. I'm sure you've interacted with me so many times. You can tell that I'm not pompous. I don't have that spirit of pomposity and trying to be what I'm not.
Yes, sir.
I always live within my means. What I don't have, I don't have. I don't envy anyone. I'm not trying to be like anybody. I'm just trying to be better than what I was yesterday.
Exactly.
Which is the most important thing. So,
the level of wisdom that you just shared is actually timeless and it's prestigious. Thank you for that. So was the grooming of J. Israel circulated around or brewed around the caliber that you're speaking as from your household, or it's something that you had to go through by yourself and learn? Was there any person that was influential into introducing you to the gospel, into making you understand the life skills and the journey that you were set to take back then when you started, or even before you became a minister?
Growing up into becoming a minister of the word, I'm going to split this into three different parts.
Okay.
Because there's something called enlightenment. Enlightenment is a very constant journey that we have to take, So in my journey of being enlightened, in my journey of finding the truth and seeking light, I can say I started off from a very Christian space before I left religion, and I'm not a religious person anymore, but I'm rather more of a spiritual person. So other than religion now, I follow what is called spirituality.
Exactly.
Because I believe religion is the gap between God and man. Religion is the stumbling block that stands between God and man. But when we speak of spirituality is what connects God and man.
Yes, exactly.
And religion is what disconnects God and man. You see, so many people who are Christians, not that I'm not a Christian, I am not a Christian actually, because according to the book of Acts, chapter 11, the Bible says, and the disciples were called Christians for the very first time in a place called Antioch, and they were called Christians by non-believers. You see, God is not a Christian. Jesus is not a Christian. And God is not a Christian. I'm going to come to the Jesus factor maybe later on, or maybe in the second episode.
Okay, sir.
But God is not a Christian, and God did not start the religion called Christianity.
Exactly.
You see, the religion called Christianity is man-made. So anybody who follows the religion will never have to experience the spirituality of God. You see, spirituality is sweet. Spirituality is the relationship between God and man, where God, you see, if you read the Bible, I'm going to come to the Bible as well, but you see, because many people in Africa, in the African space, all over the world, see, who call themselves Christians, have got this this belief in the Bible and everything, which is not bad. According to Genesis, God said, let us make man in our image, after our own likeness. And then he made a man called Adam.
Yes.
He puts Adam in the garden called Eden. Eden was not a garden. Eden was not a physical garden. That is why today you cannot find a place called Eden.
Exactly.
But Eden was an atmosphere. So God took Adam and he put Adam in an atmosphere called Eden. Adam was able to communicate with God direct. That is why when Eve was formed and Eve caused Adam to eat the fruit, to eat the apple, God asked the question and he said, Adam, Adam, where are you? Adam complains. This is a conversation that is going on between God and man. There is no prophet in between.
Yes.
There is no pastor in between. You see? There is no one who is interpreting what God is saying for Adam, but God is speaking to Adam direct.
Yes.
That is spirituality. Spirituality is when you have a direct conversation with God. Spirituality is when divinity has a direct contact with humanity. Something that religion is trying to block, something that religion is against. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. So growing up, I gave my life to Christ at a very young age. With back in those days, I had no literal understanding of what it means to give my life to Christ. You know, as they always say
which you later then found it out.
Which I'm going to explain later on. Yeah, because it's sort of like my enlightenment journey. Like I say, there is something called enlightenment that I'm going to talk about as we go.
Yes, sir.
So when I gave my life to Christ, I had no understanding of who Christ is, who Jesus is, who God is, you know. I did not even understand that the man was standing in front of me preaching to me this Jesus. He's preaching to me about a Jesus he does not know. Preaching to me about a God he has never met. A God he has no understanding about. So I gave my life to Christ. After giving my life to Christ, I became an usher in the church.
Sorry, just to disturb you. Apologies.
No.
Sorry, not to disturb you.
No, it's okay. Don't
just to actually intervene, because I believe that the Spirit has taken over. I'm a very spiritual man. And whenever you talk about spirit-filled conversation and wisdom, the Spirit is going to take over.
True.
In the Zulu culture, there's something that we call Stunya.
Stunya, yeah.
Stunya, if I may put it, is a messenger.
Yeah, true.
And
everybody has.
Yes, and if you can go back, God used to have messengers to actually send messages. Getting back to what you're saying, that spirituality is when God has a direct connection or communication with you. Yes. So God would send angels, the Gabriels, the Nike, which later Nike was inspired from. Yes.
Okay. Wow. Say that again?
Yes, Nike.
Okay.
Nike was a Greek angel.
Okay.
Yes. And then when Full Night was actually developing his brand to go globally, so this designer was actually tasked to actually design the logo and the brand image.
Beautiful.
So he was inspired by Nige, because Nige, I'm not sure if I'm going to be correct, but he was known, the angel was known for being the fastest angel to send messages to the people that God was enlightening. So the curve is actually a wing.
Oh.
So if you put them together like this, they
two
form
wings.
Two wings. Yes,
Wow.
and that is Nige. So in the African tradition, we have something called Stunya. So Stunya is ingelosi, epalamabuena specifically. Yes. So before we actually get there, I just want to understand the transition. You went to school. You told us about your early childhood school. How was the transition? And as if you may go back, how can you say it contributed to the person that you are right now?
I went to school to be taught how to remember. I wasn't taught how to be intelligent. But in school, you see, this is actually the basic Everybody who goes to school, every African child who goes to school, you are not taught life. You are not taught intelligence. You are not taught anything about life, but they teach you how to remember. So the best student is the one who has a sharp memory.
Yes, exactly.
Not the intelligent one, but the one who has got a sharp memory. But you see, when God, you see, all the designers, all the intelligent people, all the people who came up with so many theories, you see, they did not get those theories by studying anything, but they got those theories direct from God. All the theories that they came up with, these were theories that God would communicate to them direct. Do you understand?
Exactly, sir.
So everybody who ever established anything solid in this world, they did not learn it from any university. Because what you are taught in school is just to remember. So they teach you to have a good memory, not to be intelligent.
Yes.
But with me, I was very intelligent at school. I never used to study actually. I was very playful. I remember even during exams, I would nail the exam without studying. And many people will be asking themselves, but we were playing with you. I would be playing the entire night, knowing that we've got an exam in the morning.
Can I just say something? As you were saying that, it's something that's actually current right now.
Okay.
I almost said, no, to stop with the cap. I didn't study for any exam.
Who is Nota?
Nota is the guy who's been in the entertainment scene.
Okay.
Yes, he was a lot of big artist managers.
He was.
Yes, he was. But now he's been dealing with the AKA issue. Remember the night we were together?
Yeah.
He's been dealing with that, and now he's taking it to Costa Teach. So there's a video that one of the greatest content creators, Tafaya Deli, was doing a parody of Nota. So it's like, you see, I was the first black man. So it goes on about that. So as you're saying that you used to pass your exam without studying, I just don't know.
Let me tell you something. Yes. You see, something about intelligence. Intelligence goes along with madness.
Yo.
There is
Can you say that again?
Intelligence goes hand in hand with madness. There is no intelligent person who is normal. That is why many people think Kanye West is crazy. That's a very intelligent man. Because intelligence sounds like madness to average people. So whoever that Nota guy is, you might be shocked and you might be surprised to actually know that whatever that he's saying is true. Whatever that he might be talking about is a reality, because intelligence is madness. Especially to the average-minded people.
Yes, sir.
You see?
Yes, sir.
It's like you just come out of nowhere and you start saying, I met God. People will ask you, you met God where? You see? You are a spiritual person.
Yes, sir.
And I respect your line of spirituality and everything.
Thank you.
And I can tell you now that the day you started saying, I have a calling, I'm sure there are so many people who say that, come on.
Exactly.
It's like that. We grew up with you. You see, we were with you yesterday. Today you're telling us you've got a calling.
Yeah.
It's always madness. You see, gifted people are met people. You can't be gifted and be normal. You can't be gifted and be average.
Yes, sir.
You can't be gifted to fit in. You're always gifted to stand out.
Exactly.
And the moment you stand out, you always pose as a threat to average-minded people. I don't know that Nota guy, but I'm going to look him up.
Yeah,
but I can tell you now that whatever that he says, it could be true. And many people might consider him to be mad or crazy, but it is in that craziness that years along the way you are going to realize that he was actually right. You see?
Yes, they're going to keep up.
Yeah.
So I can tell that you are actually self-awakened in a way, because
I am.
Because you've actually been taught, been attending seminars.
I attended a school of School of Life. I went to a university called the University of Life, Life University.
Yes.
I'm self-made, I'm self-taught. I believe that for me to be the man I am today is all because of my mistakes. You see, I always learn I always make mistakes so that I can learn. Because you see, for you to know, it's like somebody telling you that, no, don't touch the stove, it's hot. I'm that kind of person who always want to touch it and feel it for myself.
Nice.
You see.
Yes, sir. So
if people say don't walk this road because it's dangerous, I always want to walk that road
yes.
so that I can have an experience.
It's just that people love labeling their fear to other people.
I don't like theories. I like experience. Don't teach me. I want to experience it myself.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how you can actually measure the growth of a person. So moving from Zimbabwe to South Africa, what inspired that move specifically? Because we actually got introduced to you during the time of the charismatic church, which I won't actually try to not speak about how controversial it has been to the country and how it has actually shown a lot of people that I can say have been using the gospel for their personal benefits. So, what inspired you to move to South Africa?
Firstly, the Zimbabwean economy at the time was very bad.
Yes, I understand.
No, you see, this is the reality that many people will never admit. If you hear any person telling you that God has sent me to a country to go and deliver that country, it mostly doesn't make sense for me. Because God will always raise a person in that country to deliver that country.
But if you date back, you don't have any leaders of the
there's so many.
Yes, that are even recorded in the Bible. Even Jonah.
Yeah.
Jonah was told to go to Nineveh. He was. So he was informed that country specifically.
But you see, during those biblical times are different. Now we have so many different things, different theories, different people coming up for different reasons. But anyway, let me focus on myself.
Yes.
We're not talking about people.
Yes.
I moved from Zimbabwe. I felt led to move to South Africa. Coming here, I was coming to establish a ministry, which I did establish in East London. It became one of the biggest churches in East London. I've spoken about a lot of things that I probably don't want to go back and start speaking about again, but probably those who've been following me for a very long time, will have an understanding of my journey, where I'm coming from and where I am now and what I'm doing and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Established one of the biggest churches in East London. We had over 2,000 people attending the service, our services every Sunday, gathering every Sunday. The ministry grew immensely. Then I moved to Durban, put up another church here. Very beautiful building that we put up. I think that was around 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah. Then as soon as lockdown came, lockdown shut us down. And then from lockdown, I believe, lockdown was also probably God, redirecting everybody, you understand?
Sorry, sir, just in their break.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to just taste this and actually feel it.
Okay. See, this is...
Cheers.
Cheers.
And Siamiso wine.
Siamiso wines, okay.
Yes, it's...
Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's actually a wine that we actually started with my beautiful lady.
The Bible says, take little wine. It is good for your digestion system.
Yes.
That was Paul talking to Timothy.
Yes.
He said, Timothy, my son, take little wine, for it is good for the digestion system. So this is the little wine that we are taking.
Exactly. So it was just inspired by the Siamiso.
Okay.
The word stands for Siamtanda
Okay.
so
Alright.
2 words that are joined. The 2 names are my girlfriend name.
Oh, your girlfriend name?
Yeah, it's my beautiful girlfriend.
Oh, beautiful.
And then Nduniso, that's why it's Siamiso. So that's a beautiful story that we both share. So having
That's a big risk, eh?
Yeah, no. No, it's not actually. Let me tell you something. What people don't understand, a story never ends.
Okay.
Yeah, a story never ends. I'm not going to be further into this because I don't invest my mind in the risk that you're trying to show me.
No. Yeah. I'm not showing you any risk, but I'm just saying that's a very big risk. That means you really love this girl.
Exactly. So having to share the story of Abantu Abadala Idlozi, that's why we've incorporated bilingual on the logo because it consists of people and so we're just gonna be launching it very soon. Okay. So people gotta watch out on our socials at CMSO Wines.
Oh, beautiful. Let me just taste it again. Yeah. Beautiful wine.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
When are you launching it?
It's gonna be early April.
Early April.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Beautiful.
Thank you, sir.
That's good. All the best, man. It's gonna go well.
Thank you.
I love the spirituality effect. Yeah, I wish many of our young people can be as enlightened as you are in terms of spirituality.
Thank you, sir.
I cry for our generation because we are a very lost generation. We don't understand our roots. We don't understand our heritage. We have no understanding whatsoever of who we are because we have sort of like inculcated the Western culture.
Yes, exactly.
We have actually westernized ourselves to a point where our Africanity is no longer as dominant as it is supposed to be. That is also part of the things that I'm probably going to share with you in terms like in my enlightenment journey. You know, if only I was talking to some of your guys the other day, and I was asking them. I asked one of them. He's a very inquisitive young man, and I said to him, "Who taught you to be Zulu?" He said, "Nobody taught me to be Zulu. I just grew up Zulu." And I said, "Who taught you to be black?" And then he said, "Nobody taught me to be black."
It's at the salon in Waterloo.
In the salon in Waterloo. Yeah. I said, "Who taught you to be black?" He said, "Nobody taught me to be black." I said, "Exactly. The reason why many Christians are struggling with Christianity is because you are being taught to be something that you have never been, something you must never be, something you will never be. That is why it's so difficult to be a Christian. Because you are being taught to become something that you will never be, something you will never achieve, something that you will never get to a point of saying, I am now fully at the point of saying, you see, that is why we've got so many sinners judging sinners. We've got so many black pots calling other black pots black. You see?
Exactly.
If only as African people we can go back to our roots and go back to understanding who we are as Africans, where we are coming from as African people, what made us to be who we are today.
Yes.
You know, there can be a revolution in Africa. It's just like the white wedding. The white wedding in Africa is considered to be the ultimate wedding. But actually in the West, that's their traditional wedding. You know? So what we have made to be our standard of living is traditional in the West. Because we have lost our own tradition. In our own culture, we have lost it. We don't know who we are.
I always say, only if we start to our core roots. There's a brother that I really admire. He's very close to me.
Okay.
Pilani Mutuli. He's actually an artist. Profound. I don't want to call him a philosopher, but he knows a lot of he has a lot of knowledge about the earth and the universe and the spiritual realm and the creation.
Okay.
Told him that he actually shared to me about the story of families in back in the time, especially in the rural areas. So yeah, I said only if we had started
Try not
to go in with it.
go in
Yeah.
then here
Okay,
just
yeah.
leave it because I'm reacting a lot.
Told me about. I told him that only if we didn't actually lose our culture, we'd be very ahead of time.
This is gonna sound a little bit controversial and it's gonna sound a little bit absurd, but it's a reality. Our problems as Africans started the day we received the Bible in Africa. That was the beginning of the problems in Africa. You see.
Yeah.
Moses is an ancestor. Abraham is an ancestor. Because many people actually don't have an understanding of what an ancestor is. An ancestor is not an evil spirit, but an ancestor is anyone who is late. If you die and you leave your kid behind, sooner or later you're going to be an ancestor. Do you understand?
Sorry, can I just break you there just for a second? I always don't understand why people think that God would create that for the bad of its own.
True.
Because everything is suicidal. Yes, God. I can be an ancestor to my children.
You can, not
I am
that you're actually going to be an ancestor to your children. The same way that your grandmother is your ancestor today because she's late.
Yes.
You see? And the fact that she's late does not mean that she's now a demon or she's now an evil spirit. You see? If my grandmother, who loved me so much, died loving me so much, I don't understand why Africans believe that the day she dies, she's going to be an evil spirit that is going to torment me. And each time I go into the church, the building, which I strongly believe is not a church, because church is not a building.
Yes.
Church has got nothing to do with the building.
Yes.
So we actually go together in buildings, leaving the church behind. Thinking that we are going to meet God, yet we are leaving God where we are coming from and thinking we're just going to waste our time lifting our hands, screaming and shouting and, thinking we are talking to a God who exists in the sky, in the universe, not knowing that God is deep down in your heart. You see? So we are praying and we are screaming, we are shouting, we are expecting a God who is somewhere, who we have been given a picture of, to say he's an old white man with a white long beard and white long, because everything white is good.
Yes.
And everything black is evil. That is what we've been made to believe. You see. I don't believe why a grandmother who loved me so much would die, and then after she dies,
She's gonna
she starts hating me, then she starts tormenting my life. She no longer wants the good for me, she no longer wants the best for me. You see. But for Moses, from Israel, he believed that he wants the best
for the
for the Israelites.
Yes.
So how does that make sense?
That's deep. That's deep, sir.
You see.
That's
Let
deep.
me just take this call. My brother? Yes. Okay. You can come. You must actually come get a haircut here. Come again? You must come get a haircut here with this guy, Slacker. He's the best barber in KZN. And outside there, they are busy cleaning my sneakers. If you've got dirty sneakers, you can bring them. They're busy cleaning sneakers outside. It's all part of the home service. Then he's cleaning. Then we're also shooting as well. We are shooting. It's a podcast and you can do this. You can hear this one. Yeah. Also a podcast and yeah. So come. I'll send you the code now. I'll send you the code. All right. And the location. All right. He's a friend of mine. He's a very big pastor here in Devon.
Thank you.
It's one of the biggest churches here.
Wow. Oh, that's great, sir.
Must be your land.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So about the ancestor
So
confusion.
So you see the ancestral confusion. Many people, maybe I stand to be, but for me, this is my belief, coming from the Christian space, transcending into enlightenment, spirituality,
Yes.
and everything. You see, I honor my ancestors. I don't consider my ancestors demonic. I'll never consider my ancestors to be against me. If I dream of my father was late today, and I see him in my dreams telling me something, I believe that he's giving me a message.
Yes.
And I believe that he's coming to tell me something.
Yes.
It's not like he's coming to attack me. It's not like he's coming to destroy my life.
Yes.
As the Christians have been made to believe. You see, one thing that the white men did when they arrived in Africa, they arrived with what's called the 3 C's. They arrived in Africa to Christianize, colonize, and commercialize. You see? Christianize, colonize, and commercialize. Okay. So when they came to Africa, let me just share this with you. The arrival of the white man with the Bible in Africa was the beginning of the African problem. When they arrived in this continent, they saw nature. They saw this beautiful continent with beautiful food, filled with riches,
the minerals.
The minerals. Yes. There are no minerals in Europe. There's no diamonds in Australia.
Yes.
There's no diamonds in France. There's no diamonds in Spain. Yes. There's no gold in Spain. Yes. You know, most of those European countries, you know, they actually come to Africa to have a feel of summer. Because there's no summer there. It's always snowing, you see? So what mineral can you have where there's always snow, it's always raining, it's always cold, you understand? So they arrive in Africa, they see this beautiful continent with these beautiful people, with a very strong melanin. And they were wondering, how do they survive under such harsh weather conditions, and they don't even have the kind of infrastructure that we have. They don't even have the kind of technology that we have, but they are able to survive. You see?
Yes, sir. Sorry. Just my apologies.
Okay.
I always have something to say. But I believe it's a message. We are spiritual, right?
It is.
So, talking about the melanin,
yeah.
and how they reacted when they actually discovered that we can withstand it.
Yeah.
And be at our best self. When even under this heat.
True.
I've
not only the heat. It was not only the heat.
Yes.
They also realized these people actually survive in the jungle with wild animals.
Yes.
Because as Africans, we were in touch with nature.
Yes.
We were in touch with nature.
Yes.
We were in touch with nature. We were in touch with the earth, which is actually the womb, which is actually what God gave to the African continent and to the Africans to say, you shall eat from this womb.
Yes.
So when they arrived, they caused a disconnect between nature and mankind. We disconnected from the wild animals. They took the wild animals from the jungle. They domesticated them, but they started having all this game. They commercialized. Commercialized our wild animals that we used to talk to.
Yes.
If God wants to talk to me today, I believe He can talk to me through, and I can see a bird flying. Because I'm a spiritual person and I'm in touch with nature, something that many of our African people are not. I can talk to a bird. I can see an animal and I can communicate with an animal. I can see a dog and I can talk to a dog, and the dog will talk back to me and I'll tell you what the dog is saying. This is a natural gift that was given to the African man.
Yes, because I wanted to tap into the times of the Ice Age and actually hear your comments about the theory of, say, Charles Darwin.
Okay.
Of evolution.
Evolution and stuff, okay.
Yes, I've had a conversation with Pilani too. That's my answer. So we share a very deep conversation.
Okay.
Yes, he's not guiding me in any path. It's just life.
All right.
It's soft. So we spoke about how the man evolved, how a black man, the Moors, he said they were dominant in Egypt, if I'm not mistaken. Then they traveled to Europe, and they were in the time of the Ice Age, and they developed into long hair, not afro, and they lost their melanin because the red cells were not getting the sun because there was actually ice on the atmosphere. The environment was very cold, so they didn't produce enough melanin, and they lost the melanin, and they started to become white. The theory of Sir Charles Darwin tells us that people evolved from the apes. So
from the apes, the Homo sapiens.
Yes.
Homo sapiens,
So
Zinjanthropus.
yes. So on the genesis of life, on the genesis of life itself. So I'd love to find out your sense of belief, or I won't say belief, but understanding towards the theory of how mankind was actually brought to where we actually are right now. And talk also about the Charles Darwin theory and the times of the Ice Age, where men evolved, and they were not men evolved, but when men were not exposed, the Moors were not exposed to the sun, and because of the cold, they started losing the curly hair. Hair started being long because they were cold in their neck, and it just fell. And something like
I'll tell you something now. There are so many theories that you're going to hear about the universe, existence, humankind, Africans, white people, black people, so many theories. The Charles Darwin theory of evolution, that was his theory. Thank you. Do you understand?
Yes.
That was his theory. Do you believe that before he died, he denounced his theory?
Really?
Yes. Before he died, he denounced the theory.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Before
they didn't teach us that.
No. They'll never teach you that in school. They'll never teach you that in school. The same way they'll never teach you the disadvantages of colonialism to the African child. They'll always tell you the good.
Yes.
About colonialism, why you were colonized, why you needed to be colonized, They'll never tell you about all these sufferings of apartheid and everything. You'll never learn about the wickedness of the colonial masters in school. You'll never learn about the wickedness of all these things. In school, they'll never teach you that, you see. So everybody has different theories about all these things. I sat down one day, and I'm going to share this with you. I sat down one day as I was still in my journey of enlightenment, trying to understand and finding the truth. Because the truth is something that everybody is looking for.
Yeah,
you are looking for the truth. I'm looking for the truth. Everybody's looking for the truth. We go to church because we are looking for the truth.
Exactly.
We pray to God because we are looking for the truth.
Yes. Exactly.
One day I sat down and I said, I don't want to be a Christian anymore. I don't want to be a Christian anymore. I don't want to be associated with Christianity anymore. I now want to find God. Because Christianity drifted me away from God. I'm going to come to your question and stuff. Because Christianity took me away from God. So now I need to find Him and I need to know who He is. Do you know what He said to me? The day that He finally spoke to me, He said to me, stop looking around. I am love. And that's who I am.
I can recall a lot of statements.
So if you see a lot of my statuses, I'm always writing God is love. God is love, because that's who He is. You see, what makes him love is the fact that you cannot touch him, you cannot see him, but you can feel him. You cannot touch God. You cannot see him, but you can feel his presence. As we were talking, you said something and you said, already I'm feeling.
Yes.
Already that feeling, that sense of feeling that you are feeling, it is the presence of God that you are feeling. You can't touch it, and you can't see it with your eye. You see? So whoever came and told you that God is a man, I like Sadhguru. Do you know Sadhguru?
Not really.
There's a man called Sadhguru, you must look him up. I like Sadhguru when he talks about God. Somebody asked him a question and he said, who is God? And he said, many people think God is this big human being because they try to fathom the fact that he's the creator. And because he's the creator, there is no way that a creator can have the same hands as mine, can have the same head as mine, the same eyes as mine. So that means this God is this big giant man with a long beard, with long white hair, with a long white robe, who sits somewhere in heaven. You know? Sorry. So if you go to the animals and you ask the animals who is God, maybe you go to the buffalo, you ask a buffalo who is God, the buffalo will also tell you God is a big buffalo. If you go to the cat, who is God? The cat will tell you God is a big cat because they look at life from their understanding and from their existence.
And then from their,
you see,
from their natural
their natural eye and from their natural perspective, because nobody knows God. Up until this day, nobody knows him.
So when Moses requested
to see God according to the scripture, God did not show himself to Moses. But God passed in front of Moses and he showed Moses his back.
Yes.
The biblical meaning of that is why Moses was able to write the first 5 books of the Bible. That is why Moses was able to write the beginning of God. That is why he wrote, in the beginning God created. When God was showing him his back, he was showing him the past. He was giving him a revelation so that he can be able to write about the past. To say, I cannot show you my future. That is why when Jesus appeared in the mountain of transfiguration, it was Moses and Elijah who appeared. Because God watches over his word to perform it. According to the Bible, he watches over his word to perform it. So when Jesus was transfiguring in the mountain of transfiguration, where Jesus was there with Peter, where he said to Peter, Peter, you are the rock, and upon this rock I shall build my church, and no gates of hell shall prevail. It was Moses and Elijah who appeared because in the past, God showed his back. God showed his back, which is his past. But at the mountain of transfiguration, because remember, God is Jesus according to the Bible. God is Jesus, and Jesus is God. So he was shining, and Moses had to come and now see the face of God. Because the face of God is believed to be the one that was shining on the mountain of transfiguration. You see, so if you wanted to say something.
Yes, I actually really get. I actually really get.
So nobody knows God. Nobody has seen him. Even the Bible, that's what the Bible says. Nobody has seen him and nobody knows him. But everybody has an understanding of who he is. And everybody is trying to look and is trying to understand who is this God. So one day I sat down and I said, I don't want to know God from Charles Darwin's theory.
Yes.
I don't want to know God from the biblical perspective. I don't want to know God from, because the Bible was also written by somebody. And I believe the Bible is not the ultimate word of God. Because the Bible is altered.
Yes.
That is why it's called the King James Version. Who is King James? King James is a man.
Yes.
You see?
And God didn't speak to him.
So God never spoke to King James. You see? So for the Bible to be actually approved, for it to be the Bible, and for the Bible to be approved, there was a meeting where people sat down. And Constantine the Great was the one who was chairing the meeting. To say, which books shall we approve and put in this book called the Bible, so that the Bible can become the standard of living for everybody. And the man who is chairing the meeting about religious matters is actually a Freemason, is an Antichrist. So how does an enemy give you something that is supposed to be beneficial to you? How does an enemy break into your house, steal everything from you, and then he gives you something else to say, I've stolen everything, but listen, you don't need what I've stolen. This is what you need. Why are you so kind?
Hey, colonialism. Oh.
So colonize, Christianize, commercialize.
Yeah. The 3 C's.
The 3 C's.
So the 3 C's are the guide of this conversation.
The guide of the conversation, just the 3 C's. Colonize, Christianize, and commercialize. And that's exactly what the white men did.
I believe it's going to be quite a long time since we can have you back. So from the times of you being here, there's been a lot of controversies.
Okay.
But I think
before we get to the controversies,
yes.
I was saying, I sat down and I said, I want to know God by myself. I don't want to know God from the pastor, because the pastor also doesn't know God. I don't want to know God from the bishop, because the bishop also doesn't know God. I don't want to know God from the apostle, because the apostle also doesn't know God. I want to know God by myself. Directly. And I spend so much time in my private space. Most of the times when I'm here in the house, I'm always alone. I don't really have much friends. I don't like people. Yeah, I like having people, but I don't like people. Because people's energies at times, they overwhelm me. People's spirits, they irritate me at times. I'm too irritable because I think I'm too sensitive to people's spirits. And I always try by all means not to bring everyone into my space. Because there are certain people that carry some certain auras that are not good. And once you bring them into your space, those auras have an effect on you. You see? So, when I was alone, trying to understand who is God, I started to make my research. I looked at the science. And when I looked at science, I wanted to understand God from science. According to scientists, who do they say God is? And I realized they don't believe in God, but they believe in what is called the Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
Where they believe that over 12 billion years ago, there was a Big Bang that happened. You know, a big explosion that happened, and from that explosion, there was the first existence of the first universe. And out of that universe, there was now then the existence of other universes that were that came out of the first universe that exploded from the Big Bang. So altogether, when you put these universes together, they call it the multiverse. So according to science, they don't believe in God, but they believe that there was an explosion. But there is no way that something can come out of nothing. There is no way that an explosion there is no way anything can explode from nothing. So they believe in the existence of God, but they just don't know who He is.
Yes.
You see? I looked at the Muslims. The Muslims believe in Allah. The Muslims believe in Allah, and Allah is God. They just give Him a different name. According to the Zulus, they call Him Umvelingan.
Yeah.
You see?
Yes.
Umvelingan.
Yes, exactly.
You see? It's a name. If you go to the Ndebeles in Zimbabwe, they call him Unkulunkulu.
Yes.
If you go to the other, they call him Umdali.
Yes.
If you go to the other, they call him Mari. If you go to the others, so these are all the different names that were given to the same God. So everybody has an understanding that there is a superpower, there is a super being that exists somewhere, but nobody knows where the superpower is.
Yes.
You see? Somebody asked me a question and said, where is God? I say to that person, the minute you begin to ask, where is God? You are assuming that this God can be defined. And this God has a location. And this God has a destination. Because God is not limited to matter, is not limited to time, and is not limited to space.
Yes.
Because space, time, and matter cannot exist
He's almighty.
in singular forms.
He's almighty.
Space, time, and matter can only exist simultaneously. They all exist together.
Yes.
So He's the Almighty God. Because He's not limited by time, He's not limited by space, and He's not limited by matter. If He's limited by matter, then we now have to know where He is.
Yes.
If He's limited by time, then we now need to know when was He. If He's limited by space, then we need to know how was He.
Yes.
You see? So we can't describe Him. And the only thing that we cannot describe is love. So I decided to simplify God for myself.
And just say God is love.
And just say God is love. That is why when Jesus was about to ascend to heaven, he said, and the commandment that I'm leaving to you now is love one another. The greatest expression of godliness that you can ever express to the next person is love. So coming back to the question of existence, everything, I believe personally, I don't believe in all the theories of human beings coming from eggs and everything and whatever. I believe God created man in his image, in his likeness. But the man that he created is not this flesh, because this flesh is derived from the earth. And this earth, you see, the reason why Adam was called Adam, Adam was not his name. Adam is a word that is derived from the word Adama, which means the earth, the soil. You see? So the Adam that was named Adam was named Adam because it's from the soil, from the earth, from the flesh.
It was black.
You see? And the earth cannot be white. I've never seen white earth.
What I've always, I wanted to add that in a way. I've never actually seen.
In my belief, I don't believe in the white Jesus. I don't believe Jesus is a white man. According to this Jesus that they've displayed in Roman Catholic, this Jesus they've displayed in all these places, I believe the first race to exist in this world was a black man. And all the other races existed out of the black man.
Exactly.
Does it make sense?
It makes sense because when I told you about the Ice Age, when men actually they transcended from the time of having to go to the Ice Age, facing all the cold and everything.
True.
Has actually been in the cuts is actually done.
Okay.
But just to touch on the last thing before you go to Zimbabwe, and then we have part 2, because there's actually quite it's quite a lot that we're going to be talking about. So what's the plan? What can people expect from you since you're going to Zimbabwe? So what's the agenda?
I'm going back to the pulpit. I'm going back to the pulpit full time. I'm going back to the pulpit full time now. So there's a lot of mind-blowing revelations that I'm going to be bringing. I'm coming to challenge the status quo of the church, because I believe the church has been in slumber for the longest time. The church has been sleeping for the longest time, especially the African church. We have inculcated the Western culture, and we have actually westernized the African church to a point where we have lost the true essence of the African church. You see, everything is now Western. The music is Western. The dress code is Western. Even the Jesus is Western. The God we worship is Western. Everything is Western. So where is the black man? Where does the black man fit into the Jewish religion? Where does the black man fit into the a white man's religion? But if Christianity is not a white man's religion, then show me where it is plainly stated that, and then there was a black man called Ndumiso. So where do we enter? Where do we fit in the Bible? You see, I'm coming to challenge the status quo of the church. We've been in slumber for the longest time. We have lost the true communication that we're supposed to be having with with God. You see? Because of all these different things that we are trying to adapt to and all that. You see? Anyway,
I think when you said
you caught me off guard.
Yes.
Then,
yeah, when you said you coming to challenge all the I felt that adrenaline, and to actually share with you. It's a pleasure to actually have you on our last episode of season 1.
Oh, this is your last episode
of the season.
And this is going to be the biggest one.
Yes, of season 1. Of season 1. So guys, do check us out on socials and /Colonial at the Barbershow at Funco Visuals. We're going to be ending the season with Mr. J. Say Israel.